Yes, so welcome everybody to our session on funding and support for digital and creative apprenticeships in Lambeth. So I'm Rob Singh from the London Profession Collaboration, and working with Lambeth Council to look at how we can support SMEs and businesses in Lambeth around apprenticeships. We thought it'd be a great idea to get a few businesses and trend providers to talk through what the experience is actually like. So today I'm joined by Simon Bozzoli from LDN Apprenticeships, Lee Morgan and Ayesha Fatima from Wilderness Agency, my colleague Ajay from the LPC, who will be joining the panel, and then I'm just going to hand you over to Elizabeth from Lambeth Council to just, I guess, give us a few opening remarks.
Thank you very much, Rob. Well, thank you very much, Rob, for organizing the session. This webinar is a part of a series of webinars that we are organizing to support community organizations and local business setting up our apprenticeships. And especially, I think that this one is very interesting because, of course, the digital and creative field is a growing market in London and across UK, of course. And I think it's very important that we can support the recruitment of apprentices in small organizations and in local business that probably are the ones that need that the most. I would like just to mention that at the moment Lambeth Council is going to support community organizations and local business with a levy transfer. And if you are interested to know more about that, please just drop me a line or drop a line to Rob, who will let me know. It's for organizations and companies that are based in Lambeth or who are going to recruit a Lambeth resident, or that the company and organization is based in Lambeth. I'm going to post in the chat the link to the expressions of interest. So if you would like to continue the conversation after the webinar and to find out more about that, just please drop me a line to me or to Rob or complete the expression of interest, and we take from there the conversation. And now I will let you in the good hands of Rob, who is organizing the session.
Great, thank you, Elizabeth. And just as we get started, just I guess a few points of housekeeping. So we're going to ask the panelists a few questions to find out about their experience of apprenticeships. If you'd like to ask a question, please do post your questions in the Q&A. That way we can try and get to as many questions as we can in the session. And if there are any unanswered questions, we'll probably be able to perhaps get back to you after the session with answers for those. We are recording the session today, so we hope to be able to distribute that so you can watch that again at a later date. So I'm just going to, and also please do feel free to contribute in the chat as well if you hear any interesting points. The first question I'd like to ask to the whole panel is, why are apprenticeships important for the digital and creative sectors, and what opportunities do you see them present? So who would like to open up?
I'm happy to kick off.
Thanks, Julie.
Yeah. So from my perspective, many digital and creative roles don't actually require degree level education. So it's really important for the industry to widen opportunities for entry to different candidates. And apprenticeships provide a platform for a more diverse talent pool to contribute and be represented in these sectors, which it's currently lacking. So I believe it's an employer's responsibility to create a balanced and diverse workforce that's representative of our society. And apprenticeships are tried and tested ways for small businesses to make that change themselves. We've got government funding and levy transfers in place to support not only recruitment and equipment fees that might be associated with making new hires, but also there are training programs and providers in place that can help give a structure to your new candidates' learning and development whilst at your business. And with that being said, the actual talent pool that you can then tap into and choose from is so much wider than limiting yourselves to graduate or degree level educated candidates too. So from my perspective, it's a win-win for employers and the new employees.
Great, thanks, Tilly. Simon, as a training provider that has a fixed on digital, what are your comments on this?
Yeah, I think Tilly really put that absolutely beautifully. I mean, I was just thinking about this question a little bit before we started. And, you know, when we're talking to companies about taking on apprentices, there's a few things that we have conversations with them about. And apprenticeships really are an opportunity for, particularly in the digital industries and creative industries, an opportunity for these companies to foster new talent. So it's a real opportunity to bring a person in who's perhaps a little bit more in need of an opportunity, a person who's a little bit more grateful for that opportunity. And what that does for the companies that we're working with certainly is it gives them this degree of loyalty. So people who they hire through an apprenticeship program are really grateful and excited about that opportunity. And that helps those companies to retain those people. And I know in lots of creative roles, that's a big issue. You know, staff turnover is expensive, it's time consuming, and it's really difficult for companies. I think Tilly also referred to this. It's a great opportunity to increase the diversity or to improve the sort of to make sure that your team is made up of diverse people. And that doesn't just mean diversity in ethnicity. It means diversity in age, diversity in neurodiversity, all sorts of other things, attributes that make people different from one another. And then there's another really big thing, which is this opportunity to close the digital skills gap. And, you know, a well-designed apprenticeship program should mean that what you're doing is fostering these digital skills at a very early stage in your organization, and that should equip your business to grow in the future. And just thinking about that point a little bit earlier, you know, I would argue that there isn't a single business in the world now that is not a digital business in some way, shape, or form. Every single business in the world needs to accelerate the way they are providing digital services. And so bringing an apprentice in and giving them those skills early on is really, really valuable.
Thanks, Simon. That's some great points. Ajay, did you have any comments? I guess, you know, as you work with a lot of small businesses that operate across digital and creative, I guess what sort of benefits have you seen in your work?
Yes, well, thank you first of all for bringing me in. I mean, listening to what Tilly has shared and what Simon has shared as well, a lot of what I'm going to share again here is going to, you know, resonate with a lot of you out there, but also, I guess I'm probably going to phrase it slightly different. And what I mean by that is, this is a great opportunity, whether you're an employer or an apprentice in today's world. You know, great opportunity to widen your reach, you know, from a more, you know, to reach out to a more diverse talent pool of candidates. You know, these words may sound great, but we've got to think about the cost of living here in London. Keep going up. It's expensive. You know, the cost of university is going to be a huge concern, and not that it is already. You know, apprenticeships start to become a more cost-effective solution. It's something that's more tangible for employers, and more importantly, a more cost-effective option for young people in today's day and age. You know, where they don't necessarily feel that a university degree is, you know, really an option for them. You know, those that can't afford university start to become, you know, more alienated with what career choices they've got, and, you know, and some of those options start to fade away, and they start to feel, you know, depression kicked in. You know, they start to feel that, you know, they may not be suited for, you know, some of these amazing sectors that need people to address, you know, some of those challenges. So, you know, apprenticeships, you know, it allows for inclusivity in any sector, especially the digital and creative sector. You know, more young people you know, are switched on with technology today, much more than I am, I guess. They will become, you know, the future talent that the industry needs to close the skills gap. And more interestingly, you know, there are probably jobs out there that we've not even heard of yet or even been created yet for some of our younger children, young people that are now coming through, now starting to make those life choices and where they want to pursue.
So, Jane, I guess sort of talking of future talent and as an apprentice who's sort of living and breathing this at the moment, Ayesha, what are your reflections on the sort of opportunities that apprenticeships present for businesses in these sectors?
Yeah, I think my thoughts will probably echo everyone else's. It's just, this whole notion that like apprentices, they require a lot of support and a lot of training and a lot of hand-holding. The support part may be true, but I think ultimately, like as an apprentice myself, I was able to literally focus all of my attention to the agency and the work that they were providing and the training that they wanted me to complete. And the benefits of that are endless, because now I'm able to work with the day-to-day processes. It's not like, it's a seamless transition for me to be in the company now. And yeah, I feel like I'm just going to repeat what everyone else is saying, but it's just this whole, like, I really like the fact that, you're able to hire people that, apprentices, who wouldn't get this opportunity elsewhere. I can't stress this enough, like as someone who loves creativity and loves digital work, it's so difficult to have someone notice your talent if you haven't come from a degree background or you don't know the right kind of people and have done the right kind of networking. And this has just been a really easy way for me to step into the industry and just upskill myself whilst I've been here.
Brilliant, thanks, Ayesha. Someone who worked in the creative sector a few years ago, definitely sort of echo what you said about, sometimes it is a particular sort of person who ends up who has particular opportunities, and I think apprenticeships really do sort of open up the opportunity. And also, I think it's quite an exciting time and opportunity for the sectors in that we can get some real new, fresh perspectives and fresh talent to the organisations. Simon, you kind of touched upon it a little bit in your response to the first question. I've really got to recognise that the LDN apprenticeships doing a great job of widening participation for the digital sector. Can you tell us a little bit more about the work that you did?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. Thanks, Rob. I'm the founder of LDN. I started the company about, it's 11 years ago in a couple of days' time on Friday. We're a Lambeth organization through and through. Our first office was in Brixton. We were based in the Baytree Centre, and we've been based in Lambeth ever since. And our mission is to create opportunities for diverse talent to realize their potential. And what that means to us is delivering apprenticeships that provide really, really exciting opportunities for young people to find a job that they absolutely love. Sounds like Ayesha has done just that. And then once they've found that job, to build a successful and meaningful career on the back of it. So we kind of look at this in a couple of ways. The first thing we need is to find jobs in industries that young people are excited by, and the digital and creative industries are areas where young people are absolutely passionate, and they also provide that really, really exciting opportunity to build a career that can set you up for life and make you very successful. And when that happens, what we see happening is young people improving their social mobility, being able to have a bit of disposable income, being able to make decisions about their lives. And they do that without some of the drawbacks of other options for education. So they do it earning money instead of getting themselves into debt with university. So, that's what our mission is all about. It's about creating opportunities for our apprentices to find a job they love and start a meaningful career. So as I say, LDN has been going for 11 years. In July this year, we had a visit from our friends at Ofsted, and we were given an outstanding grade for our apprenticeships and our quality of education, which was it was a nice stamp of approval after 11 years of hard work. And we've delivered probably 13 or 1400 apprenticeships over those 11 years. Our apprentices are in all sorts of different roles. So a big one of our programs is digital marketing. We also have some very specific programs around the Salesforce CRM platform, where we train people to be Salesforce administrators and Salesforce consultants. And then we also have a very unique apprenticeship program. We're the only provider in the country that delivers the level 3 publishing assistant, and that's helping young people to get into jobs in some of the biggest publishing companies in the world. So Pearson and Penguin Random House, Bloomsbury, those sorts of organizations. So yeah, really exciting jobs that our apprentices go and do. And then just a little bit about our apprentices. So we've got about 250 apprentices out working for companies at the moment. They work in all sorts of different companies, different sizes. Some work for the Pension Services Corporation, and others work for small digital marketing agencies or much smaller businesses. And they're just an incredibly diverse and really very, very exciting group of people. So over 50%, about 56% of our apprentices are female, about 48% are from ethnic minority backgrounds. I'm going to shoot out some more numbers here. So a good 30% had free school meals when they were at school, which typically means they're from a sort of a disadvantaged background or a not so well off background. And they're just incredible people to spend time with. And I think the thing that gets me and my team up and out of bed every morning is helping these young people to start their careers. And, you know, some of them join us very, very young and very, very inexperienced. And the thing that makes us all so excited is just, you know, 2 or 3 months into an apprenticeship, seeing the light bulb going on above a person's head. And seeing that they have firmly embedded themselves into an organization, and just sort of hearing the feedback from our customers about how well their apprentices do, how much they contribute to their organizations, is the thing that really makes us so excited, and what's so important and valuable about apprenticeships. So yeah, that's a little bit about LDN. Happy to take any questions if anyone's got them, but yeah, that's us.
Brilliant. Thanks, Simon. One question I was going to ask is, so say for example, you know, some of the businesses who are attending today were interested in finding out a little bit more. We'll send your details later on, but in terms of how you run the apprenticeships, are they sort of cohort based, or are there particular times of the year that you're running apprenticeships, or are they able to book somebody on next week?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to hire an apprentice with LDN, there's details of all of the different, I've only mentioned a few of the programs we deliver, but there's details of all the programs we offer on our website. We do a really thorough and actually really quite fun recruitment service. So we don't use CVs at all. One of the things that we found is that using CVs for the apprentices that we work with is completely meaningless and unhelpful. So what we do is we have a really detailed screening process where candidates can apply for an opportunity that an employer's got. My team will then go through the applications for that opportunity, screen through people, and come up with a shortlist. And then we run an event that's called a Career Kickstarter. And the Career Kickstarters can be done in person. We can do them at your office. We can do them at our training center. We can even do them online. And basically, before you see a CV or anything, you'll just meet our candidates face to face, because it's the most helpful way for you to get to know whether a person's going to be a good fit for your team. So we'll introduce you to a candidate. We've got some fun activities that we do that help you to get to know the people that we've brought to your event. And then we have a couple more things that happen where you can interview a little bit more deeply, get to know the person, then you offer them a job, and they can start their apprenticeship basically whenever you like. So we have an induction every single month, and we have probably 30 or 40 apprentices starting every month at the moment.
Thanks, Simon. Tilly, I just wanted to ask you a question, because as an SME taking on an apprentice, what made you decide to go down the route of hiring apprentices, I guess, as opposed to the traditional sort of graduate recruitment route? How easy was it to get started?
Yeah, the initial decision actually was stemmed from my own working background. So I myself never went to university. It was always a decision that I knew I never wanted to go. I was much more keen to kind of get into the real working environment as soon as possible. But I was met with a lot of barriers to find a job in London. At the time, I lived outside of London and I wasn't able to take an unpaid internship because of the travel cost to and from the job. So it was quite a battle to pitch myself and find somewhere that would pay at least for my travel to be covered so that I could get that real working experience at an agency in London to then hopefully put me on a platform to land a full-time job somewhere else in the future. So we initially signed up as an agency to be a training provider for apprenticeships and apprenticeship programs. And then I really just asked myself and the agency the question of why are we only hiring graduates? Because if we're signing up to be the provider to train these candidates, why don't we hire them ourselves? If we believe we're the experts to give them the skill set that they need, surely they can do that on the ground at our company too. So by working with our partners, the Industry School and the Opportunity Group, who work in a very similar way in other areas of London to LDN in Lambeth, our goal was to provide not only apprentices with a comprehensive skill set over the course of 13 months, but also to hire them instead of hiring graduates for a set period of time, to do a trial run and to see what happened. So after developing the programme, we kind of signed up with our partnerships to take on our first apprentice, which was Ayesha. She's amazing. And initially we kind of went in with lower expectations. We said to ourselves, you know, they're not going to come in with the same education level. They might not come in with the same experience level. So we were willing to invest extra time in support system and management on the ground. However, we had the reassurance of there's a set training program with a clear schedule, so we know at which point their development should start to progress, and we should then start to see more from the return on investing in a hire like this. But it's really safe to say that from the interview stage, we were absolutely blown away with the calibre of candidates that came through. They all showed a far greater hunger for opportunity and passion for the industry than previous graduates that we had interviewed. And the process from recruitment to onboarding and supporting Ayesha through the training program has been absolutely seamless. The structure of it makes it really clear and provides all the clarity that you need. But it's also just much more efficient. There's a clear time scale. It's easier for you as an employer to implement new measures throughout that program, and also for the candidate to have clear points at which they feel they should have made certain achievements and to get that self-satisfaction back. So it's been such a successful recruitment pipeline for Wilderness as an agency that in June we took on our second apprentice onto the same course, which is a digital community management course, and we aim to take on at least 1 to 2 more apprentices again in January.
That's great to hear that you're going to continue to hire apprentices. And yeah, it's something quite interesting when you're talking about, I guess, the sort of expectation of the apprentice and knowing sort of where they will be on their journey and that ability to sort of start the plan. You just look into the future and sort of see where they should be in terms of their skills and sort of make plans. You know, the plan of workload that way. I never really thought about that benefit. Sounds really great.
Yeah, I think also a piece of advice is get ready for them to blow your expectations away. You know, we hire apprentices and ours are on a 13-month program, and Ayesha has, I mean, from the interview, but come in and just kind of kicked that timeline out of the water. So she's still continuing on the apprenticeship so she can get the qualification, and I'm sure she'll touch on this a little bit later, but she's actually recently been promoted into another position at the company. So it's really exciting, and it's a really great example for other junior members of the team within your business to have that same desire and hunger for opportunity. And it's kind of like that positive competition and encouragement of there's a space for you and there's an opportunity for you. It's an employer's job really actually to remove some of these roadblocks and just allow them to kind of run free, trial things out, make mistakes, but take on a lot of learnings in a very short period of time. And I think you'll find candidates that actually progress far more quickly.
Something else I noticed when you were talking was really smooth onboarding process. I guess how much did the training provider have to play in that? And I guess what advice around training providers would you give?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a combination. It's about you as your own business having a schedule in place so that people feel really well understood of what you do as a company, what their specific role is, and how that contributes to a team goal and a company goal overall. But our partners were also brilliant in hosting kind of Kickstarter weeks, where it really takes candidates through the schedule of the program of the apprenticeship. They are clear on kind of meeting points each month, and they also understand contacts on the apprenticeship side of who they can reach out to for support. But as an employer, on our end, we had not only the apprentices line manager, but also an internal buddy system, just that they had someone outside of their line manager, more of a peer-to-peer learning that they feel comfortable and confident speaking to. And then our HR department hosted monthly check-ins with apprentices just to kind of get their feedback on the course as well. And that way we can feed back to that provider and say, this is from an apprentice perspective. Maybe these are some changes that we could introduce if you're going to run this program again.
That sounds really good to hear. So one of the things that Ajay and I often speak to SMEs about is ensuring you have that support for the apprentices in place. And it doesn't need to be onerous, but it just someone for them to talk to and someone for them to ask those silly questions that they might not want to ask their line manager. And where we've seen businesses implement that, and like I said, it doesn't have to be anything particularly onerous or hugely structured, but it can still have such a huge effect for the apprentices and sort of giving them that confidence to ask those silly questions and move on and grow.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a learning environment. So, you do have the responsibility to allow them to do that. And that comes with making mistakes. And in honesty, we just encourage it. I think it is an opportunity where you say, please make the mistakes, because it's okay to, there's a support system around you and you're going to take a learning from it in the future that then you won't be making the same mistake again.
Absolutely. And I've just got one more thing I wanted to ask, actually. It's based on, I guess, a lot of the feedback, or let's say feedback, the concerns that we sometimes have from SMEs that we speak to, which is around the off-the-job training, and I guess how you've managed to sort of integrate that into the roles.
Was that the training, did you say?
Yeah, so, how you're managing the off-the-job training.
Off-the-job training. Yeah, so we essentially have set out a set number of hours each week or month to outside of the job at Wilderness for them to just purely focus on the apprenticeship training. And we try and build that into a schedule that works around our team and client needs, but also around the schedule in which they have to deliver certain work on the off-the-job training for. So as an example, one of our candidates essentially has every Friday of each week to just fully dedicate to their apprenticeship training. They know that they have access to their buddy and their line manager within that time to ask dedicated questions. And they also have spoken to their mentor on the apprenticeship side too, where they can have regular check-ins with them just to kind of see the progress of their work. Are they doing things correctly? Is there any feedback that they could get? It really does help to take the pressure off of an apprentice of the kind of always on mentality of, if they feel that they need to be answering their emails or joining a meeting, joining a call, it's impossible then to actually manage everything and deliver everything to a high standard. So knowing that they can have that time away from the job, focusing on the training, you really see the best in both environments, because they're fully engaged when they are at work, and then they feel fully supported when they just have their training time.
Brilliant, thanks, Tilly.
I would like to make a question. It's like, what kind of barriers or difficulties did you have initially when you were setting up the apprenticeships?
What, sorry?
What kind of barriers or difficulties did you face when you were setting up the first apprenticeships, when you were looking into that?
Yeah, no, that's a brilliant question. One of them was just the financial aspect. And, you know, could we afford to take on an apprentice? Normally what we do is we don't have external recruiters. We do all of the recruitment internally ourselves, but we really wanted to ensure that we are widening our reach and making sure that we are accessing the right people who do need these opportunities. That was, although answered by government funding. You know, each business can get up to £3,000 as a government grant for each apprentice that they take on. So you can use that money towards a recruitment fee. You could alternatively use it towards ensuring that when the apprentice joins, they have all the equipment that they need. So that was one challenge that we faced, but honestly was quickly answered. The other challenge that we faced was actually choosing. There were so many amazing candidates, but realistically we only had the opportunity to hire one at the time. You know, it's really important to only commit to what you can definitely secure for the full period of the 13 months, and salary wise we could only commit to one apprentice at that moment. Definitely chose the right one in Ayesha, but I think it's now our job to see how we can scale this. And we are a living wage employer, and it's something that we really stand by and isn't something that we ever want to sacrifice. I firmly do not believe in any sort of unpaid internships. So I think the financial aspect can be a challenge that a lot of small businesses face, but the government grant in terms of upfront initial costs that you can have with hiring an employee really helped. And then secondly, levy transfers to pay and cover for the training programs was a huge help, because that's something that as a small business we wouldn't have been able to afford. And our partner agencies helped connect us with other businesses that were able to cover those training fees.
Great, thanks, Tilly. One of the key things that we do as an organisation is help to broker levy transfer, and you know, it's something that we're happy to talk to any organisation about. We're currently helping Lambeth to look at what levy they have available to share with local businesses. So I'd like to ask Ayesha a few questions now, if that's okay. I think from what we've heard so far, it sounds like really sort of flying as an apprentice. I guess sort of thinking back when you chose to do an apprenticeship, what made you choose an apprenticeship versus other training like going to college or other routes? And we've heard a little bit about it already, but it'd be great to hear about what your experience has been so far.
Yeah, so I initially chose an apprenticeship because I kind of never found the traditional educational route appealing for myself. As a creative, it's hard to pinpoint exactly what it is I'm good at and what I want to do, because there's photography, there's graphic design, advertising, and also from a personal point, I wasn't able to afford to study, so I didn't want to make a mistake and then go back into it again. And I knew, like, from a very young age that I'd have to try different routes, and the apprenticeship kind of allowed me, as I said, to get through the door in an otherwise very difficult industry to qualify for, and have experiences in different kind of departments and roles. And in terms of my experience, it's been amazing. Like, I started as a social media apprentice, and I managed the community management, and I slowly was able to kind of, you know, show my enthusiasm and my skill set, and I learned so much more just in the last 9 months. So again, in the last 9 months, I've worked on helping out with strategy. I've been able to take charge of insights, as well as being able to work in our core like culture, activities that we do in the agency, which has been amazing. And that's also been I've also been able to help enhance the working environment and the experience for the rest of the team. So it's not just like I'm an apprentice and I've got my own little role. Like I was very much immersed with the whole team, which has been really fun. And without like rambling too much, the last 9 months have been really incredible, and I'm not exaggerating, but they have truly changed my life in the last 9 months. Like I was just last year, I think back, and I was severely anxious. I was getting rejected left, right, and center from literally every role I would apply to because I didn't have the right experience. And now fast forward, I've been, working on bigger clients. I've been able to sit in proposals and pitches, and kind of bring in a fresh perspective, which is what I always wanted to do. And just recently, I had the opportunity to attend the BAME Apprenticeship Awards with my line manager. And it was just amazing. It was like a surreal experience because I honestly never thought the apprenticeship would open this many doors for me. And yeah, like Tilly said, for me, the last month was very exciting because I got promoted a whole 4 months in advance, which is, again, I just never expected it. And now I'm an insight strategist, but I'm still able to make sure that I'm going to see my apprenticeship to the end. And I guess like really that's kind of all down to the agency and the learning provider. I get really good support from the agency. They really encourage me to upskill myself, jump in different projects, and they kind of give me the experience, the confidence that I need to say yes to different things. People like my line manager, Tilly, Tom, and everyone, their understanding of what I want to do and what I want to achieve is what makes it easy for me to stay there, because they literally push me to do everything. And even if something's a bit crazy, they'll be like, go ahead. But usually it's not crazy, it's always fine. But yeah, I hope that made sense and I didn't speak too much.
Oh, that's great. I think it's really inspiring to hear your story, and that's, especially the fact that you were able to get promoted early. Really sort of I think it's a real testament to the support that you're getting from the agency, your own drive as well. And something that I thought that I picked up on when you were talking, which sounded really encouraging, was that you are one of the team. You're not just an apprentice. You're part of the team. I think that's something that when Ajay and I talk to SMEs and businesses, we reiterate you're taking on a member of staff, someone who's going to contribute really positively to the team. Just because they're an apprentice doesn't mean that they're not going to be productive, they're not going to be bringing huge value to the organisation, which it sounds like you really have been.
Yeah, like even very early on, I actually had a chat with Tilly, and I remember this specifically because I made a point about just being an apprentice, and Tilly was like, no, don't call yourself that. You're not just an apprentice, you're like part of the team, and wherever you want to get involved in, you can. And I think that's what stood out to me, and that's what made me want to stay, is because as an apprentice, you can sometimes feel like, you're not going to get heard, or it's going to be difficult to progress. But honestly, like the learning provider and even at the agency, I've never once felt like I'm not qualified enough to take part in something if I wanted to, which is, it's been great for me.
It's interesting. There was an organisation, quite a large organisation I spoke to a few months back, who were starting to shift from graduate recruitment to apprenticeships, simply because both apprentices and graduates tend to come into that particular organisation with essentially the same amount of experience. So why not grow those members of staff in the way that that suits your organisation with that formal training that apprenticeship gives? Yeah, very inspirational stuff, Ayesha. Congratulations on your promotion.
Thank you.
AJ, could you outline what the process is for any of our businesses who are thinking about taking on an apprentice, and what sort of support is available? So we've talked about what effect the apprentice can have on the organisation. We've heard from Ayesha around what difference it can make to an individual. But in terms of in practical terms, AJ, how can they go about it?
I'd say it's fairly simple, straightforward. I want to simplify it, but I guess if you work with us here at the LPC, we can support you from start to finish on that journey. Pretty much with helping you create, I guess, register for a digital apprenticeship service. It's an online government portal that helps you, submit apprentices' details to the provider. It helps you process those payments, and more importantly, also receive the funding to pay for your apprentices' training. We'll see you right through to the finish line and beyond. And even though you've created that account, there's still a few more steps after that journey. And I guess, for example, we'll work with you to get you to understand which apprenticeship standard best suits your business's needs. We'll work with you to help you understand the choices before making a decision. We even help you get to understand, once you've chosen that apprenticeship standard, we can help you demystify some of the aspects of, apprenticeship, right through to a breakdown of some jargon that's out. I'm even at fault sometimes. I will start throwing out, and my colleague like Rob will rein me back in just to get me to and some of my conversations. But we're here to help you overcome some of that fear, if it is or a concern. But what does that really mean for your business? And we'll help you get to understand, through working with us, what it all means and how it will, say, affect your business. We can also help you, source or find an apprenticeship training provider. I'd say dozens, but there's much more than, they're out there that are all approved, registered by government register. Something that Simon mentioned earlier on, he received, an outstanding report from Ofsted. That's amazing. Congratulations, by the way, Simon. But, providers up and down the country are monitored by Ofsted, and they're also regulated. So, the government's in place to ensure that, they deliver a quality provision for businesses, whether, you're a micro business right through to a large organisation. But main thing is, when we help you choose that provider, we'll give you a selection from, the government website to, ones that kind of align to your values or the ways that you work. Because, at the end of the day, you're going to be building a relationship with your training provider, whether it will be lasting 12 months and a day right through to 2 or 3 years. And, you want to be able to work with them, and it's a two-way relationship. Once you've chosen your provider and you're ready to go, and you may even have a young person or an employee ready to put onto that apprenticeship, we can explain to you, some of the funding options that you have, and right through to even supporting you with a levy match. What do I mean by that? There are some large employers out there that have a lot of levy, a lot of funding to spend on apprenticeships, and they'd rather not see it expire out of their accounts and go back to central government. They rather gift it and support the cost of your training and cover the full cost of your apprenticeship training, because the government will only support you, I say only, but they will support you with 95% cost of your apprenticeship training, and the remaining 5%, you will cover, and you will pay that directly to your apprenticeship training provider. If it's for one apprentice, you may think that's fine, I can cover the costs. But more interestingly, the numbers do add up once you take on a second and a third and a fourth and so forth. And finally, as I said, we'll take you beyond that finish line. We'll support you and get you to understand, what an onboarding / enrollment process looks like with your provider, because they all work very different, but they're all looking to achieve the same thing: register your apprentices' details in their system, and we'll help you along that journey to get you, right past that, right through past that finish line, and get your apprentice, adding value to your business from day one. Let's not forget, there's been a little mention about it previously, but I think it's coming up in some of the questions. but you can claim your apprenticeship incentives, which currently at the moment is £3,000 per apprentice. It has been extended till the new year, and there are other additional funding that you're able to claim according to the apprentice's circumstances, and we can always go through in a bit more detail what that is. But one important bit of information to share with you is that as a business, if you take someone that's under the age of 25, you don't actually need to contribute towards those national insurance contributions. It's an added benefit, I guess, financially, but more importantly, you take all the financial elements out of the picture. You're bringing on a new employee that's going to start adding value to your business, whether it's you looking to close that skills gap within your business or looking to grow and upscale your business. The apprentice can definitely help you achieve that.
Right, thanks, Ajay. And I think just to reiterate that point that Ajay made, that there is £3,000 available from the government for taking on the new apprentice, which is available until the end of January. So if you're thinking about taking on an apprentice, it's a really good time to do that at the moment. I've got just one final question for the panel. We might only have a minute or two to cover one or two questions from the Q&A, but we'll certainly look to answer some of those in the follow-up where we share the recording. But the question I want to ask the panel, if you can just give us a short answer, we've only got a few minutes left, is what advice would you give to an SME thinking about taking on an apprentice? So Tilly, can I start with you for this one?
Yeah. I think you'll regret not having done it sooner. And I would say, in terms of just remodeling your recruitment process, instead of looking for qualifications and experience in your shortlisted candidates, instead look for qualities that foster your company culture, trust and support in those qualities. And I really believe you'll see a candidate who's not only grateful for the opportunity, but quickly becomes a star player within your team.
I'm using myself. Thanks. Simon, what would your advice be?
Yeah, there's been so much. It sounds like Tilly and the guys at Wilderness have done a spectacular job of setting up their program. There's been so much talk this afternoon about this relationship between the training provider and the employer. And actually, I think the obvious other person in that relationship is the apprentice. So having a really, really good relationship between those three people in the apprenticeship, I spend a lot of time doing this, making sure that the communication between the training provider and the employer and the apprentice and the training provider is working really, really well, will make for an environment where the apprentice can really learn very quickly and accelerate their trajectory. And I think that is the other thing you will see when you take on an apprentice. They may be at a starting level that is lower than what you might typically be used to. But what we see with apprenticeships is that their trajectory of learning, the speed at which they gain new skills, at which they take things on, is just absolutely phenomenal. And that's the thing I think you'll benefit from an organization. What you get is this huge differential in a very short space of time when you take on an apprentice. So as Tilly said, I think I would agree. I think you'll regret not doing it sooner. You should definitely make plans and just do it. I think that's someone else's line.
Thanks, Simon. Ayesha, as an apprentice, what would you say to businesses thinking about it at the moment?
I'm going to echo what Simon and Tilly said, which is just do it. I hope I can speak for my fellow apprentices, but it truly allows them to get the experiences they wouldn't get anywhere. And I'm so grateful for every single day at work, and you will never be disappointed or feel like you may have wasted an opportunity, because I know I'm not going to get another opportunity like this. So you'll definitely get someone who's willing to learn, willing to take part, and they'll be a really great member of your team.
Excellent. Ajay, what would your nuggets be?
I've worked with dozens of SMEs to date, through to micro businesses over the past couple of years. I say the one piece of advice I give, slightly different to everyone, but I would say is give time and set time aside for this. It's probably the most important part, and probably what people most value, across in this day and age. people need to make time, for yourself to understand a little bit about the landscape, to read about the apprenticeship program, make time for a mentor within your business to be able to review your apprentices, placement, their performance, their progress. I guess, I skipped a part, we say is at the very beginning, also make time for your apprentice to enroll with the provider. Because they need to complete an application form, they need to complete their initial assessments. It's all very technical jargon I'm coming out with, but there is a natural process and we can help you understand that and take you through those steps. And probably most important is also consider and factor in what that 20% of the job actually looks like. Some great examples from what Tia shared, and I'm sure someone's probably got more examples that you can share with you in another discussion. But also, finally, something to not forget about, I'm assuming Ayesha is looking forward to, is their endpoint assessment. They're going to need time to prepare for that and even practice. But setting time aside will help set expectations. More importantly, you'll start to see a return on your investment right from day one. And also, this can start adding value to your business. And they've got a fresh approach to how they look at things on a day-to-day basis. But more importantly, it's a collaborative effort by all parties.
Thanks, Ajay. And Elizabeth, do you have any advice, I guess, from a Lambeth Council perspective?
No, I think that the panelists today have been just amazing. I think that really, talking about raising expectations, I think that this one is really important because they have highlighted completely how amazing it is to support people that are not coming from universities to be able to reach into the careers and to build up the work experience. I think that apprenticeships are just an amazing tool that we have in our hands to support social mobility for people that for different reasons are not able or prefer not to go into university and getting degrees. They have other ways now through the apprentices to get their qualifications, to work at the same time. I think that is just absolutely amazing. And I really would like just to invite those who may have doubts just to contact us or to contact Rob to find out more about that. If you are not sure yet that you would like to take one apprentice, just have an informal conversation, and we will help you through that. I do decide at the end not to take an apprentice and not to go through that road, that's fine as well. But I think there is an amazing opportunity there. And I'm just going to post here again the email address. And you have any questions or you would like to continue this conversation later on, for us to contact you. And I just want to say thank you very much to Rob for organizing this today, and to all the panelists, because I know you are now very busy and you have taken time off to be able to be with us today.
Thank you, Elizabeth. So we're going to save a few minutes for the Q&A, but I've been looking at the questions, and I think there's quite a lot of sort of operational questions in there, and Simon's done a fantastic job of answering those. Thank you, Simon. Whilst I was hosting, I realised to make myself but what we can do, we'll share the recording with the delegates, and I'll also share a document we've created, which is essentially called the Basics of Apprenticeships, which goes through some of the questions that have been asked. So, around how much time spend training, what sort of funding options there are, and of course, do feel free to reach out to us at the LPC, Ajay, myself, on hand to answer any questions really. And our work is already funded, so there's no cost to our support. We're completely impartial as well, so we work with some fantastic training providers like LDM, but we remain impartial aside from that. So I just want to take this opportunity to thank the panelists. I think Simon sort of gave us a real sort of flavour of how how a training provider can really support and pull us back, and some great success that they've had in really helping organisations to take on some apprentices who perhaps might not have had those opportunities through other routes. 11 years, congratulations. And look forward to the next 11 years, I guess. And thank you to Tilly and Ayesha for coming and really sort of showing what's possible, and really sort of demonstrating the power of apprenticeships and how actually just thinking about it slightly differently can really make quite a big difference. And of course, thanks to Ajay for just running through some of the operational details.